We've been talking about housing. We've been talking about the displacement of people in San Francisco. And toward that end, we have a call from a listener who I'd like to bring on to join us.
Pat, before you do, it's not actually an organization, but it's the commitment to really use ranked choice voting.
Okay.
And so, but it's a wonderful slogan, 1, 2, 3 to replace Ed Lee.
And you can go on Facebook to vote 1, 2, 3 to replace Ed Lee. That's where that really lives in earnest.
Okay. And now we're speaking with Ray. Ray's calling from Oakland. Ray, hi. Welcome to KGO. You're on the air. Ray? Hello, Ray. All right, I don't know where Ray is. Let me ask his question then, because I don't know if there's a problem with the line or if he hung up. But his question is, what would you do to reverse the trend of African Americans leaving the city? And that is happening. There's a, there's a real exodus.
Yeah, well, I think there's years ago we had the issue of redlining, where banks were actually literally redlining zones that they would either not give loans to people of color, or redlining zones where they would give people of color only if they would move to those areas. And I think this is the same kind of thing that's happening now, in the sense of basically, if you don't make $200,000 a year here, you don't belong, and you're going to feel it, and you're going to be kicked out of here because you're going to be, quote unquote, priced out. So it sounds like it's the market. It's the invisible hand of Adam Smith. It's not the invisible hand of Adam Smith. It's a sleight of hand of corrupt politics and a corrupt understanding of what it means to be able to live where you created. In other words, I hear so many people, and unfortunately, our youth also saying, well, if you can't afford it, you shouldn't be here. Is that what you're going to say to an 83-year-old man who worked his whole life here, built this city, and is on fixed income? If you can't afford it, you shouldn't live here?
Well, that's what people have been saying about living in the big city for a long time. That's the actual status quo, is that if you can't pay to be here, then you don't belong here. Willie Brown said that.
That's what bullies say. That's what bullies say. If you can't give me your lunch money, I'm going to take it.
There you go.
So, but this is the actual history of San Francisco. Junipero Serra just got canonized, but the thing is, and I probably butchered that name, but the thing is that talk about butchering people, he actually pushed out the Ohlone. He was the first one to do that. Then the 49ers came and pushed out the Spanish.
Not the football team.
And then the Japanese internment happened, the Filipino district with the International Hotel. There was all this redevelopment. The African Americans were pushed out. Latinos are being pushed out en masse. African American population.
So is that just a natural occurrence when you have a city's growth?
Well, no, I don't think it's a natural.
I don't think it's been natural. It's been actually on purpose by people in charge. The redevelopment of the Fillmore District was absolutely on purpose by the redevelopment organization, who went in there and said, we're going to tear down 1,000 buildings.
But what would San Francisco look like if that had not happened? It wouldn't be the same city.
Oh, my goodness. The
Look at
Western
what would have
Addition
happened
was
with the Panhandle.
Yeah.
That would have been a freeway if they had gotten their way. But it was a 6-5 vote with the Board of Supervisors against turning the Panhandle into a freeway, and they knocked down a bunch of buildings in order to do that, to prepare.
And Stuart, you said that the population would be blacker.
It would. We would have a much more large. We'd have a larger black population.
A more exciting city.
One thing we could definitely do in the future, in the next 10 years, we're going to have a lot of development in the Bayview. Bayview and Hunters Point, there's going to be tons of development.
Right.
And one thing that I'd like to see is a promise on the book of laws saying that, okay, if you're going to redevelop there, all the affordable housing first needs to be offered to people who are from there or who've been displaced from there.
Right.
So that way, right now we have less than 6% African American in San Francisco.
Yeah, it's close to 4, closer to 3.
It's insane.
Actually, you know what I think, and goes directly to Ray's question, I think, and that's what we've been exploring, a program that actually helps people who've been kicked out of here, who work here, who live here, and who were living here and have been priced out of here, to have first choice to come back, right in the line of what you're talking about. Stuart,
well, is the population becoming more white in San Francisco? Because there's a large Asian population. Are they also being displaced?
Everybody's being displaced. It's a socioeconomic thing.
It has to do with income more than anything.
Chinatown is just as angry at Ed Lee as every other neighborhood. People in the neighborhoods are pissed off at Ed Lee. Can I say pissed off?
Well, you
They're
just did.
Very angry. Very angry at it, Lee. Living unsecure. People have a general angst. When will I get the letter? Sorry to inform you, your building's been sold.
Let me bring on one of our listeners here. This is Jim in Concord. Jim, hi. Welcome to KGO. You are on with the candidates. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi. So, you just kind of made my point. This is an economic situation. I'm a white guy. I'm working class. I'm actually a lawyer, but I'm working class.
Of course.
And I make a decent amount of money, but I can't.
What happened?
Where'd you go? I don't know.
I went to Concord. Hello?
Oh, I'm sorry.
We lost you for a second.
You were not on the air for a minute. That's what I meant by where'd you go, but that was funny.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, I had to move to Concord, and I'm very happy out here. I have a nice little house, but it's an economic issue. I don't think, and maybe it's because I'm white, but I don't think it's a race thing. I think it's just comes down to the money. It's too expensive for
But
whatever
Brian, I think
reason.
if you look at Twitter's hiring patterns, and all these corporations, they're hiring patterns. They aren't hiring people of color.
Oh, that's true. That's very, very true. And they're not hiring a lot of women either.
That's
so,
right.
yeah, so there
Those
is
are
all of
clear
that. And they
decisions.
are coming in. Now, the city, if I can speak on their behalf, the city says, wow, it's great to get tech in here because Silicon Valley has taken all that money. And look at the tax base. Look at all the money we have and what we can do with all of that money in San Francisco.
What are they doing? We have more homeless than ever.
Yeah.
We have
At
more
what
displacement than
cost?
ever. What are you doing with that money? Why do we have 4 navigation centers instead of 1?
All right, let's take a break, and when we come back, we have a guest, a caller, who has a question about Kate Steinle, and that was one of the questions I was going to ask too. Is your thoughts on Sanctuary City? I'm Pat Thurston, and we're going to check in with Lee Graham in the KGO Radio Traffic.